Continuing where I left off, turn your two eyes this way and see this people, your own Romans. Here is Caesar and all the line of Iulus, all who shall one day pass under the dome of the great sky. This is the man, this one, of whom so often you have heard the promise, Caesar Augustus, son of the defied, who shall bring once again an age of gold to Latium, to the land where Saturn reigned in early times. He will extend his power beyond the Garamantes and Indians, over far territories north and south of the zodiac stars, the solar way, where Atlas, heaven-bearing on his shoulder, turns the night spear, studded with burning stars. At that man's coming, even now the realms of Caspia and Maiutia tremble, warned by oracles, and the 7 mouths of Nile go dark with fear. The truth is, even Alcines never traversed so much of earth. I grant that he could shoot the hen with brazen hoofs, or bring peace to the groves of Erymanthus, or leave Lerna frighted by his bow. Neither did he who guided his triumphal car with reins of vine shoots twisted, Bacchus driving down from Nisus' height his tiger team. Do we lag still at carrying our valor into action? Can our own fear prevent our settling in Ausonia? Who is he to set apart there, olive crown, who holds the sacred vessels in his hands? I know that snowy mane and beard, Numa, the king, who will build early Rome on a base of laws, a man sent from the small town poverty of Curus to high sovereignty. After him comes Tulicus, breaker of his country's peace, arousing men who have lost victorious ways, malleringing men to war. Near him is Ancus, given to boasting, even now to please, with veering popularity's heady air. Do you care to see now too the Tarquin kings, and the proud soul of the avenger Brutus, by whom the bundle fastest are regained? Consular power will first be his, and his the pitiless axes. When his own 2 sons plot war against the city, he will call for the death penalty in freedom's name. Unhappy man, no matter how posterity may see these matters, love of the fatherland will sway him, and an unmeasured lust for fame. Now see the Decii and the Drusi there, and stern Torquatus with his axe, and see Camillus bring the lost standards home. That pair, however, matched in brilliant armor, matched in their heart desire now, while night still holds them fast. Once they attain life's light, what war, what grief will they provoke between them? Battle lines and bloodshed, as the father marches from the Alpine ramparts, down from Monacle's wall height, and the son-in-law, drawn up with armies of the east, awaits him. Sons, refrain, you must not blind your hearts to that enormity of civil war, turning against your country's very heart, his own vigor of manhood. You above all, who trace your line from the immortals, you be first to spare us, child of my own blood, throw away your sword. Mummies there, when Cornelius brought low, will drive his car as victor and as killer of Achaeans to our high capital. Paulus will conquer Argos and Armageddon's old Mycenae, defeating Perseus the Aeneid, here to the masters of war. Achilles, thus avenging his own Trojan ancestors and the defilement of Minerva's shrine. Great Cato, who would leave you unremarked, or Cossus, you, or the family of Gracchi, or the twin Sapius, bright bolts of war, the bane of Libya, or you, Fabricius, in poverty yet powerful, or you, Serenus, at the furrow, casting seed. Where, though I weary, do you hurry me, you, Fabius Maximus? You are the only soul who shall restore our wounded state by waiting out the enemy. Others will cast more tenderly in bronze their breathing figures. I can well believe, and bring more lifelike portraits out of marble. Argue more eloquently, use the pointer to trace the paths of heaven accurately, and accurately foretell the rising stars. Roman, remember by your strength to rule earth's people, for your arts are to be these: to pacify, to impose the rule of law, to spare the conquered, battle down the proud. Anchises paused here as they gazed in awe, then added, so there, how Marcellus comes with spoils of the commander that he killed, how the man towers over everyone, cavalier leader. He'll sustain the realm of Rome in hours of tumult, bringing to heel the Carthaginians and rebellious Gaul, and for the third time in our history, he'll dedicate an enemy's general's arms to Father Romulus. But here Aeneas broke in, seeing at Marcellus' side a young man, beautifully formed and tall in shining armor, but with clouded brow and downcast eyes. And who is that one, father, walking beside the captain as he comes? A son or a grandchild from the same great stock? The others murmured all astir, how strong his presence is. But night, like a black cloud about his head, whirls down in awful gloom. His father Anchises answered, and the tears well up as he began. Oh, do not ask about this huge grief of your people, son. Fate will give earth only a glimpse of him, not let the boy live on. Lords of the sky, you thought the majesty of Rome too great if it had kept these gifts. How many groans will be sent up from the great fields of Mars to Mars' proud city, and what sad rites you'll see, Tiber, as you flow past the new-built tomb. Never will any boy of alien race exalt his Latin forefathers with promise equal to his. Never will Romulus' land take pride like this in any of her sons. Weep for his faithful heart, his old world honor, his sword arm never beaten down. No enemy could have come through a clash with him unhurt. Whether this soldier went on foot or rode, digging his spurs into a lathered mount. Child of our morning, if only in some way you could break through your bitter fate, for you will be Marcellus. Let me scatter lilies, as all I can hold, and scarlet flowers as well, to heap these for my grandson's shade at least. Frail gifts and ritual of no avail. So raptly, everywhere, father and son wandered the airy plain and viewed it all, after Anchises had conducted him to every region and had fired his love of glory in the years to come. He spoke of wars that he must fight, of Laurentines and of Latinus city, then of how he might avoid or bear each toil to come. There are two gates of sleep, one said to be of horn, whereby the true shades pass with ease, the other all white ivory agleam, without a flaw, and yet false dreams are sent. Through this one by the ghost of the upper world. Anchises now, his last instructions given, took son and Sibyl there, and let them go by the ivory gate. Aeneas made his way straight to the ships to see his crews again, then sailed directly to Caieta's port. But anchors out, the sterns rest out on the beach. Book 7. Juno served by the Fury. Nurse Caieta of Aeneas, in death you too conferred your fame through ages on our coast, still honored in your last bed as you are, and if this glory matters in the end, your name tells of your grave in great Hesperia. When he had seen Caieta's funeral performed, her mound of tomb heaped up, Aeneas waited until the sea went down, then cleared it, her harbor unto sail. Into the night the soft south wind blew on, the white full moon left no sea reach or path unbrightened for them. Shimmering on the open sea, they passed the isle of Circe close inshore, that isle where in the grove men shun the sun's rich daughter sings the hours away. She lights her hall by night with fires of fragrant cedar wood, making her shuttle hum across the warp. Out of this island now they could hear lions growling low in anger at their chains, then roaring in the deep night, bristling boars and fenced-in bears, foaming in rage, and shapes of huge wolves howling. Men they once had been, but with her magic herbs the cruel goddess dressed them in the form and pelt of brutes. That night, to spare Trojan foul enchantment, should they put in, or near the dangerous beach, Neptune puffed out their sails with wind astern, giving clear passage, carrying them onward, past the boiling surf. Then soon to eastward sea began to redden with dawn rays, and saffron robe Aurora in high heaven shone on her rosy car. Now suddenly the wind dropped, every breath of wind sank down, and oar blades dipped in toil in the sparkling calm, still far ashore. Aeneas on the lookout sighted a mighty forest, a fair river, Tiber, cutting through, and at its mouth expelling eddies of clay yellow water. In the sea, above it, all around, birds of myriad colors, birds at home on river bank and channel, charmed the air with jargoning and flitting through the trees. Aeneas called right rudder to the steersman, turned the prows to land, and smiling put for shade on the great river. Be with me, muse of all desire, Arato, while I call up the kings, the early times. How matters stood in the old land of Latium that day when the foreign soldiers beached upon Osnia's shore, and the events that led to the first fight. A mortal one, bring all in memory to the singer's mind, for I must tell of wars to chill the blood, ranked men in battle, kings by their own valor, driven to death in Truvier's cavalry, and all Hesperia mobilized in arms. A greater history opens before my eyes, a greater task awaits me. King Latinus, now grown old, has ruled his settled towns and countryside through years of peace. Tradition makes him a son of Faunus by a nymph, Marica of the Laurentines. The father of Faunus had been Picus, who in turn claimed you for sire, O Saturn, making you the founder of the dynasty. By fate, Latinus had no son or male descendant, death having taken one in the early youth. A single daughter held that house hope, a girl now ripe for marriage, for a man, and many in broad Latium, in Osnia, courted her, but for the handsomest by far was Tarnus, powerful heir of a great line. Latinus, queen, pressed for their union, desiring him with passion for a son, but heavenly portents, odd things full of dread, stood in the way. There was a laurel tree, deep in an inner courtyard of the palace, venerated for leafage, prized for years, having been found and dedicated there, so the tale went, to Phoebus by Latins, where he first built a strong point on the site. And from this laurel tree he gave his folk the name Laurentines. Here, for a wonder, bees in a thick swarm, borne through the limpid air with humming thunder, clustered high on top, and locking all their feet together, hung in a sudden mass that waited leaves and bough. A soothsayer declared in this we see a stranger's advent, and a body of men moving to the same spot from the same zone to take our fortress. Then came another sign. While the old king lit fires at the altars with a pure touch, the girl Lavinia with him, it seemed her long hair caught, her head dress caught in crackling flame, her queen's tresses blazed, her jewel crown blazed, mantle then in smoke and russet light. She scattered divine fire through all the house. No one could hold that sight, anything but hair-raising marvelous. And it was read by seers to mean the girl would have renown and glorious days to come, but that she brought a great war on her people. Troubled by these strange happenings, the king sought out the oracle of his father, Faunus, teller of destinies, to listen there, in woodland, by Albunia's high cascade, and plashing holy spring, that noblest wood, that in cool dusk exhaled a brimstone vapor. All Italians, all the Ortorian land, resorted to this place in baffling times, asking direction. Here a priest brought gifts. Here in the stillness of the night he laid on skins taken from the sheep of sacrifice and courted slumber. Many visions came before his eyes, and strangely on the air. He heard their different voices, and took part in colloquies of gods in undergloom, addressing the grim powers of Atrion. Now here in turn Father Latinus came for counsel, richly putting to the sword 100 sheep. He laid on their piled fleeces. Then came a sudden voice from the inmost grove. Propose no Latin alliance for your daughter, son of mine. Distrust the bridal chamber. Now prepare. Men from abroad will come and be your sons by marriage. Blood so mingled it lifts our name starward. Children of that stock will see all earth turn Latin at their feet. Governed by them as far as on his rounds the sun looks down on ocean, east or west. So ran the oracle of Father Faunus in the still night, a warning that Latinus could not keep to himself, but far and wide. Report of it had reached Ausonian towns before the sons of Laomedon moored ship at the grassy riverside. And I'm going to leave it off there. Thank you for watching. Please continue viewing. You don't have to really do it. Just keep watching the video, and I'm reading the whole book as it goes. You can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You can leave a comment, subscribe, or just watch. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.